This is the third film in the series, the last film in the series, Life Animated. Actually, we're revisiting this. We did it last year as well for a number of weeks. And the whole idea here is that our lives are made up of stories, and humankind has always told stories to try to explain the questions that we all have. And we see this throughout history. You have those stories that are part of a culture, right, that have been passed down from one generation to the next. All those stories try to explain our reality, try to explain the human equation. You go back to the ancient Greeks, and they had this theater that sat 15,000 people. Right, and today, and you have Shakespeare, and you have books, and you have other plays, and you have films, and we're looking at these three animated films, and it really struck me. They're popular, I think, because of the questions they try to answer. Yeah, they're popular because these questions have been part of what's inside of us, things that we've struggled with just as humanity in this condition that we find ourselves in. And finally, all these stories, all these questions point to the story of God, how that intersects with our story. So this film, these are the questions they look at. Here we go. What am I supposed to do with my life? Do you ever ask that question? What am I supposed to do with my life? Huh? You know, when a young person says that to me, or I remember my kids said that to me, Dad, I'm trying to figure out what to do with my life. Do you know what I would answer them? It's me too. Right? Do you ever leave that place? I don't think I ever. Maybe you guys are better than me, but I never seem to. I'm always saying, what am I supposed to do in my life? I don't know yet. You know, hopefully I'll figure it out by the time I go to heaven. I don't know. All right, but I'm still working on it. So, what am I supposed to do with my life? Where do I fit in, and what makes me unique? I always laugh when I hear some people kind of jam kids for doing something funny or doing something different, like purple hair. Right? Or a nose ring, or a tat, right? If I could get you in a corner, could you tell me something you did as a kid to try to show people that you were unique? Huh? Did you do something a little different to try? I remember I wore this crazy hat in high school. I'm turning red just thinking about it. I look so stupid. But what I was trying to say is, man, I'm different. I'm unique, right? We're still trying to say that somehow, right? How can I make a difference, and does it matter? You still asking that question? You know, the basis of all that, who am I, why am I here, and can I know for sure? This movie looks at these questions. And these questions have always been with humankind. This movie uses anthropomorphism. It's a bunch of animals that really are people, right? They do the same things people do. They can talk, and they can walk, and they can have feelings, and they're really in the parts that normally are played by people. They're just animals. So when you see a bull walking along like this, talking, or when you see the bunny talking, it's a person, right? It's people. And that's what it's supposed to be. The setting of this movie is that the animals, predators and prey, little biology, predators did the hunting, right? The prey were the hunted, right? Okay. So the predators and the prey have come to this place now where there's peace. And they live in this peace, and because of that, the young people, or the young animals, I guess I should say, are able to dream about doing different things. What can I do with my life? How can I make a difference in ways they've never dreamed before? So that's the setting. Watch. So Judy wanted to be a police officer, right? And her parents said, oh, you know, just kind of settle. play it safe, right? You ever wish you could tell your kids that? But you know it wouldn't be the right thing? I mean, I got one kid, and he works for Campus Crusade for Christ crew, and there's a couple nations in the world that he's gone to that I can't even tell you. I was kind of kicking myself thinking, man, this is my fault. I told him to go tell people about Jesus, you know? And now he's finding himself doing this crazy stuff, right? But you can't put a roadblock in front of him, can you? And if you always teach your kids to just play it safe, if you always teach your kids not to dream, just to be a carrot farmer, huh? It's not the best thing for them, is it? And she had others that just laughed at her. There'd never been a police officer that had been a bunny. You can't do it. And she had some that was pretty violent, huh? laughed at her and pushed her down and scratched her. But she worked out through all of that. 15 years later, she's at the academy at Zootopia. That's the city, right? She becomes a police officer. And you know what happens? The chief of police, he assigns her to being a meter maid. And she feels so let down. And so she tries to be the best meter maid she can, but man, she's frustrated. And she tells the police chief that, and there's this open case of 15 animals have disappeared, mammals have disappeared. She says, well, you should put me on that. And he says, okay, I'll give you 48 hours. You don't solve the case, I'm kicking you off the force. And so on the streets, she makes a friend, a fox, right? And together in that relationship, they're able to solve the case. What's happened is that these 15 mammals are all predators, and they've gone crazy. They've gone violent. And the mayor of the town is a lion, and that wouldn't be good for publicity. So he's got them shut up in this prison type of thing, right? And he's got them guarded by these wolves that howl at night. And they work through all of that, and they solve the case. And she's a hero. And now there's a press conference. Watch. So you see what happened here? She didn't want anyone to put her in a box. She didn't want anyone not to give her the benefit of the doubt that she could change, that to put her in a place where she couldn't grow. And yet that's what she did with her friend, and with a whole group of these animals, the predators, right? And so she's lost this relationship that's so important for her, and she knows that she's failed to do what she wanted to do, make the city a better place, because now it's just a huge place of fear, and they're putting down a particular type of animal, and she approaches the chief of police and the mayor, and they want to make her the poster board for the police department, and she said, no, I came here to make this a better place, and I failed. And when she comes face to face with her failure, when she finds out that it's not about her being a police officer, right? It's about her doing something worthwhile. And she didn't do that. And in her failure, she runs home. She resigns. And she runs home. She had it made. She was everything she wanted to be. The face of the police department, Zootopia. But it didn't give her what she wanted. And so she ran home. And we pick it up. She's working at her parents' farm with the fruit and vegetable stand. So Judy's grown up a little bit, right? She can give a little grace now. When this fox that beat her up when she was young said I was a real jerk, she says, well, I've been there too. And she finds out that those flowers, those things are called night howlers, and there's a connection earlier in the film with that. But she understands that what's been going on is that somehow those flowers that make even a rabbit go savage, so that everybody can go savage now, right? She knows there's something going on with that, and she hops in the truck. Now, is she hopping in the truck to go back and be this great police officer? Or is she now hopping in the truck to go help somebody? Is she doing it for herself? Or is she doing it because she cares for somebody? Maybe even loves somebody? What's the key here, see? And so she gets back to the city, and she reconnects with the fox. Because you see, nothing good can come if you don't have a relationship. So she connects with the fox again, and they connect in that relationship, and together they solve the crime. It seems like some of the prey, they want to give the predators a bad name, so they've taken these flowers and they put them in a serum and they shoot them into people, or into these predators, and they go crazy, right? And so they develop an antidote, and everything is saved, everything is good, right? And so at the end of the movie, she tells you what she's learned. Watch. So this is the bottom line here. Go ahead. but we just have to try. Did you catch that? She says, I understand that none of us are perfect now. That I make mistakes, and everyone make mistakes, and in our common brokenness, in a sense, we can give each other a little edge, right? We can play back and forth. We can accept each other and find in our common brokenness a place to come together. And yet at the end of the whole movie, this is where she said, where she comes down, we just have to try. You want to make a difference? Great. The key is you just need to try. You know, when I first watched this movie, and I'm not sure which parent gave me this movie, but it was really cool. But I watched the whole thing, and I was into it, and at the end they said it was like an anticlimactic thing for me. You mean that's it? You just have to try? Tell me, how's that work for you? How's that working for humankind? You just have to try. How's that working in the United States? Everybody's trying. Boy, we have a utopia, don't we? There's nobody at each other's throats, is there? You just have to try. So there's no hatred or murder or bloodshed anywhere on the face of the earth, right? You just got to try. Is that enough for you? You just got to try. You see, that's the best we can do in our stories. That's the best humanity can do. You just have to try. And that's where God's story meets us. It's not about us trying, it's about us being. It's about an identity that He gives us to live in. Right from the very beginning. In that psalm, this is what it says. You created me in my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Is that you? When's the last time you thought about that? That God made you special. And that He made you personally. And He made you for relationship with Him. And He's got plans for you. This is how this psalm continues. It says this, all the days ordained for me were written in your book. Read the rest of it with me. Before one of them came to be. You are special. You were created special. In the image of God. You know, part of that image certainly is to know that we exist so that we can have this relationship of love with God and with one another. But we should also understand that we were made without the brokenness. We were made perfect and holy. And so this brokenness that is a part of our existence, it's not the primary reality of our existence. It's not where we're going to end up. And yeah, this thing called sin, what it's done is it's introduced this brokenness into our existence. But it doesn't change our identity. Created in the image of God, made special, made unique. Each one of us, one who God has plans for. When Jesus started his ministry, I don't know if you know this, just a quick, he was 12 years old in the temple as a boy, and we don't hear anything about him until he's 30 years old and he's going to start his ministry, right? And the first thing he does is he saddles up to John the Baptist and he says, John, you got to baptize me. And when he's baptized, the voice of the Father says, this is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased. It wasn't about Jesus going to do something right away. It was about who he was. Identity. And the very next thing that happens, he's driven out into the wilderness and the devil tempts him. And you know what the temptation is? He's trying to steal the identity. If you are the Son of God. If you are the Son of God. If you are the Son of God. The Father publicly in front of everybody said, this is my Son. I love him. And Satan was trying to steal that identity from him. If you are the Son of God. With you and me, Jesus has come so that we can be born again, right? We lost that identity that we were created in, but this idea of life with Jesus is like being born again, having this new life. The Spirit now touches our hearts with the reality of who we were meant to be and who we're recreated to be in Jesus. Jesus talks in terms of faith being a born-again experience. This idea that I know who I am because God, in Jesus Christ, created me and recreated me in him. And in baptism, for each one of us, just as with Jesus, the Father publicly, in front of everybody, says, this one is my beloved daughter. This one is my beloved son. And immediately Satan tries to take that away from us. We're looking for our place in life, our meaning and purpose. It's not about what we do. It's about who we are. And who we are is a gift. And it transcends anything that we do. This is my beloved son. This is my beloved daughter. Jesus goes on. He begins to preach and it says, this is what he preached. The time has come. The kingdom of God is near, which, where's Agos? It's right here. It's here in Jesus, okay? Repent and believe the good news. Now, what does that word repent mean? You know, a lot of people say, well, what that means is you turn away from the bad stuff that you do and you start doing good stuff, right? I think more than that, it means turn away from trying to find your life with any other identity than the identity that Jesus Christ gives you. This is my beloved son. This is my beloved daughter. Turn away from looking for fulfillment and purpose apart from identity. Turn away from all those places where you try to find identity apart from Jesus. And turn to where the story of Jesus would touch your life. Right now, God's Spirit is saying yes in your heart. He's saying, yes, this is true. And maybe you need to be renewed in that reality of identity in Jesus. Maybe for the first time, you're going, whoa, wow, man, that makes sense. Maybe God is just coming to shore up that reality in you by His Spirit. But the time has come for us. Every moment today to turn away from those places where we look for our purpose apart from our identity in Jesus Christ. Even on in this text, he starts to call his disciples, and he says, come follow me, and I will make you fishers of people. Now, for us, we think right away, we think, well, what they were supposed to do is they were supposed to go out and tell people about Jesus. And I say, okay, that's cool. But if you look at Mark, and by the way, Mark is a short read. You can read it this afternoon, hour and a half, 12 chapters, I think it is. It's really short, right? But you'll find that what Jesus did is he just didn't say, hey, I'm going to say about God's kingdom. No, he also healed people. He stepped into the brokenness of existence. He was there for the outcast. He was there for those who were on the edges of society. He was there for the hopeless ones. And he cast out demons. And when he sent out the disciples, what is this fishers of people supposed to look like? Yeah, they told everybody about Jesus. But they healed the brokenness, the sick. And they cast out the demons. What does that look like for us? Certainly we want to tell people about Jesus. We also want to connect with them in their brokenness, in their sickness, in their hopelessness, in those places where they physically need help, We want to bring the kingdom there in a tangible way. And by the way, when you lose your life, you find it. That's what happened with Judy, right? When it wasn't about her being a police officer, it was about her rescuing and helping people. She found out what she was supposed to be doing. And this pushing back the darkness, the spiritual powers, what does that look like for us? The disciples cast out demons. Well, when you scratch your head, what does that mean for us? Do you really think all the darkness in this world is just about people and physical stuff? Do you think the darkness over the souls of people are just about physical things? Satan wants to drag us into those dark places. Do you think addiction to drugs or alcohol or pornography, do you think that just comes from people? Or do you think Satan is trying to bind us up? Do you think the killing of the unborn comes from anywhere but from the demons? Do you think the horror of war and bloodshed is just a human matter? We find ourselves when we push back the forces of spiritual evil. Do you think the struggles of our society to figure out what it means to be sexually human comes from people? Or from the evil one that wants to confuse and take away our number one identity as a child of God who lives in the way he directs our lives? We find ourselves when we lose ourselves in service. Whether it's holding up Jesus, whether it's helping the one who is physically hurting or emotionally hurting, or whether it's pushing back the spiritual forces of darkness in the love of Jesus Christ. It's about being who we are. And that being is a gift of God to us. 1 John, it says, "Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God." What does that love look like? It looks like what Jesus did. He laid down his life so that we could have life. When you lose your life, you find it. But how about those places where we're like Judy, we fall flat on our faces? Does that happen to you? Do we just throw in the towel? Go back to the carrot farm? God's story is so awesome here. He shows us the victory of the resurrection. He shows us the reality that not even death could hold Jesus down. And then he says in that context, if this 1 Corinthians 15, go home and read that today. It's the context of the resurrection. It begins, listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed in a flash, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. And it talks about Jesus being raised from the dead, right? In that reality, it says, always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord. Read the rest of it. What's underlying me? Here we go. Because you know that your labor in the Lord is not ever in vain. When you fall flat on your face and think you've accomplished nothing, the promise of God to you, the resurrection promise, the power of God to you is that nothing you do in him will ever be done in vain. That God will use it somehow. And then he lifts you up and dusts you off. It's not about running back to the carrot farm in failure. It's about being forgiven and raised up in a resurrection to be brand new in Jesus. Because every day he resurrects you in the identity that he gives you, my dear daughter and my dear son. So, what am I supposed to do with my life? I'm always asking that question. I got to be honest with you. I hope I find my answer here. But these things maybe will help. I was created special and God planned each one of my days. That's you. Isn't that cool stuff? I was recreated in Jesus and gifted in him. That's you. my beloved child, my beloved daughter, my beloved son. I was meant to find myself in love and service. That's what happened with Judy. That's what happens with us. And I have God's promise that whatever I do in him is never done in vain, and he backs that up with the power of the resurrection. So this week, where are you struggling to find your place in life? What are you supposed to do with your life? Where are you struggling to find where you were meant to make a difference? Where are you looking for the answer apart from love and service in Jesus? Where are you looking for the answer apart from relationship with God and through him with others? Where is it just about you? Where are you looking for the answer apart from the reality that God made you special? And where do you need to hear this right now? And where are you looking for the answer apart from the reality that God remade you special in Jesus, and he has called you by name to be his and to live as his child? And finally, where are you looking for the answer apart from God's powerful resurrection promise that nothing done in the Lord will ever be done in vain? By grace through faith, receive these things brand new. And may you see brand new in your place, the place God has called you in this moment to make a difference, to do things in his love that are never done in vain. Amen. We'll receive the offering now.